everyone is wearing their masks this evening, and Allie, too, will be wearing her mask while she speaks tonight. But I have set up a microphone for her, and she will be speaking with her mask on from the podium tonight. And we are feeling really blessed and lucky that Allie, in her retirement, is willing to be with us and share a little bit about her faith journey while she was working and any new insight she's had in the last few months. And we told Allie she could share anything she wanted to share with us on this journey that we call faith and ... whatever it is that you bring to the equation with faith. But I'd like to start out tonight with a special prayer for the family of Hank Coe. Many of you know that Hank died late this morning, and he was surrounded by his family and just surrounded by love and deeply, deeply peaceful and almost without pain. And so we are grateful for a life well and enthusiastically lived on the part of Hank, a life that was lived in leadership and service for his community. He was a man of really deep faith and incredible trust at the end that he was in God's hands. The time that he was given was in God's hands. He was grateful that he was given enough time to do the work that he believed God had given him to do and to love his family. And so instead of having a sense of bitterness that he had just retired when he found out he had pancreatic cancer, he was deeply saddened not to be able to spend more time with his family, but also incredibly trusting and ready to be with, as he would say, his Father in heaven, and be able to visit for eternity with his mother, who he loved, as he waits for the rest of his family one day to join him. Let us pray. Most merciful God, whose wisdom is beyond our understanding, deal graciously with Hank's children, grandchildren, siblings, Marty, and all his family and friends in their grief. Surround them with your love, that they may not be overwhelmed by their loss, but have confidence in your goodness and strength to meet the days to come, not as those sorrowing without hope, but as those who put their faith and trust in the living Lord. Amen. Allie, I would invite you to ascend to the pulpit and share with us from your life and walk in faith.
Hello all, thank you for coming out. I'm really glad to be here. I do a little better talking to one or two people at a time than a bit of a group, but I'm going to be really brave. You look user-friendly. For those of you who don't know me or much about me, or what led me to being at the box in January of 12, I found this, which Trevor Cook, my across-the-street neighbor, sent me recently. It's from the newspaper, 2009. And I really, with great humility, questioned the intelligence of the committee that chose me to lead the box. It was one of the most humbling, not in terms of humble abode, but humbling things. And I read this over just last night when I was thinking, I have to think of something to say tomorrow. And I thought there were a few things in here that made me think I wasn't that ill-prepared. And some of it's just sort of interesting. So this is The World According to McIver by Harriet Wexler. Oh, no, we don't. So where'd you grow up, blah, blah, blah. Career progress. I would not go directly to the word progress when it comes to my career. It is more like a kaleidoscope, up and down and all around. I graduated from Florida Southern College in Lakeland, Florida, with a degree in elementary ed. I headed to Pella, Iowa to work for Hawkeye Band Corps. Blah, 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 almost died of boredom. Joe Tilden, a friend from early childhood, was managing the corrals and the pack trips at Valley Ranch and told me about an opening at the Valley School. As they say, the rest is history. The school had no plumbing, no grizzly bear fence, very few rules. It was a wonderful year with the Thorne, Mentor, and Siggins children. From there to Castle Rock Ranch, travel agencies, more schooling. Teaching a year at Cody High, moving to Lander, working for the National Outdoor Leadership School, back to Cody, more schooling. Becoming an associate broker, working at Western Real Estate. So, yeah, there's all sorts of things I brought to the table. What is the best thing about living in Cody? Always a good thing to ponder. Let me count the ways. I love the views, the pretty eye candy, the proximity to countless outdoor recreation options, the natural wonders, the sounds, the library, the quad, the Stark Nature Trail, and others. The quality of life and the community that keeps on walking the walk to maintain that quality. What changes would you make if you could change the world? Everyone would take responsibility for all of their actions, every time, taught from birth. It's so compelling to imagine global difference. And on and on. And then the interesting one, since everyone's saying, what are you going to do in retirement? Well, I'm calling it vacation so far. I didn't take a vast amount of time in the 9 years I was at the box. So I'm calling this vacate, because then you eat, and you drink, and you read, and you sleep, and you repeat. So, but what is your dream? To travel to cooking schools all over the world and open a small boutique restaurant in Cody and spend endless days cooking, creating, experimenting with spices and herbs, baking exotic breads, looking for the perfect flavor, and writing a best-selling novel about all that jazz. There we go. And what single advice or describes someone or something you love? I love my dog Cleo. She's been my best hiking buddy and true blue roommate for 11 years. She's always overjoyed when I walk through the door. She acts like each never-changing bowl of food has the potential to be a feast of untold proportions. And every walk, large or small, has the potential to be the adventure of a lifetime. What single advice would you give to others? Live with the attitude of gratitude that seems ingrained in our canine friends. Keep your eyes and ears and hearts wide open. So there were some fox-like qualities in all that Anne saw before I did. Right. So that is that. Trevor must have been doing some mighty deep cleaning to find an 11-year-old newspaper article, but it came at a good time. So I wasn't as ill-prepared as I thought. And when I think about the bargain box, I have to think about the supporting cast that comes to mind. Ann Simpson, and I never heard this from Ann's lips, but on good authority. She was the very determined good angel on the search committee who had a firm belief in my abilities, that seen and that unseen, and kind of made it happen. Jay Moody taught me an infinity of clever things, especially patience and bookkeeping 101. He is a very patient man. We would spend a lot of time looking for 1 or 2 pennies each month. What's wrong with journal entries? Just 2 pennies. Half an hour later, he would find the pennies. Mary Pocket, the best ever cheerleader, our bargain box mother Mary, always encouraging, always attending lunches, meetings, parties, our best ever was a budget-minded Christmas party. The boxers going bowling in boxer shorts. We were adorable. David Pike, best darn warden in the whole darn world. Warren, endless wisdom and backstories on the box. Terry Call allowed me to be on speed dial from the moment I was asked to take this job. He is still on speed dial. That's a nice word. But and it was a bit awkward of a transition because it was an entire transition. He was saintly and gracious. Stan Strike, the best junior warden I could imagine. Tables appearing like magic. Rocks and tumblers and all things geological. Quickly priced and then often purchased by Stan. Wally for a watchful eye and countless books bought. And always and ever, Jerry Hager and the whole mission committee for appreciation, enthusiasm, general support. That's what I think of when I think of the box. That's the depth of faith people had in me that is huge. My gratitude to this entire supporting cast is boundless, and for this 9 years of growth and grace, boundless gratitude. The above remarks are the importance, but now, reminiscing. In the spring of 2013, TAC, Warren, and the Bargain Box hosted a thrifty gathering of statewide thrift stores. I was struck pretty new during the 2-day event. Fortunately, Warren was a brilliant facilitator, sharing box history and stories and visions and growth. Well, spring of 18, press asked me if I would be one of the speakers at a thrifty conference at the Diocesan Building in Casper. And, well, give me 6 years of being at the helm, it could not shut me up. Anyway, so now, less than 2 months into vacation, I'm kind of back to mute. I was kind of a little struck yesterday, like, oh, they're going to stand up and talk to people. You've known about this for more than a minute ago. But I'm so much better versed very quickly in endless chats with brilliant grandchildren, making pasta by hand, hanging it over the pot rack, watching it swing in the sun. Great book, Sourdough Bread with the Lid on the next sourdough starter, which is always a very Zen experience. So, back to 2012, January. With all of that trepidation and gratitude, not much else going on, Nelson Mandela said a good head and a good heart are always a very formidable combo. So I figured by age 61, I had an off-challenged head and a heart left wide open and vulnerable against all odds. So I plunged into the box with some lofty goals and mission statements. There are many. So the first absolute at the box in this time of transition was that the entire staff, from the ground up, I mean everybody, even when they take you out the trash, realize that we represent Christ Episcopal Church. We work for Christ Episcopal Church. In every way that we treat customers, in every way we treat one another. It was a lofty goal, and it was never met 100%, but it was stressed daily, and it was oft repeated, and it was as sincere as could be. The Bargain Box is an integral part of Christ Episcopal Church. It's also an absolute that people continue to remember. The Bargain Box is one store. It's got 2 roof lines, but it is one store. One store, 2 buildings. Back up. Yeah. And so there's no room for taking our eyes off the prize of helping others. And so for 9 years, it's been very, very important to be collegial, to be head-on, to be assertive, slang for aggressive, when things got in the way of that vision of one store, one employer, Christ Episcopal Church, Cody, one bossy manager. So, I like that. The box has an enormous responsibility to use and to redistribute abundance. The bargain box connects and or redirects often obscene levels of retail therapy. Helping folk with very affordable necessities, as well as catering to collectors, budget-minded decorators, eBay dealers, dorm room decorators, and turn profits into grants via the mission committee. It's a tall order. It's a lot of convoluted things. It was a constant challenge. Are you trying to be nice to people or help people or make money? All of that. And so, yeah, given the reality of need-driven customers and a lot of treasure huntings, pricing is always a big challenge. And that pricing is often challenged loudly and belligerently. So there's this never-ending balance between generosity and stewardship. And it's rarely a perfect balance, but it's a goal. There are 15, give or take, thrift, nonprofit, for-profit, consignment, antique stores in Cody. The more, the merrier. With 15 thrift stores, it's very easy to sit in Basin or in Red Lodge and say, let's go to Cody, we'll go thrifting, we'll have lunch, we'll spend some money in Cody today. With 1 or 2 stores, that's not a real exciting option. So as more and more popped up, and people were very inclined to ask, understandably, are you mad about that? No. It's every single storefront has its own niche and makes Cody really quite special in terms of the entire, I'd say our shopping area was Red Lodge to Basin, so what, 120 miles or more? And that's a good thing. So yeah, shop at all of them and cheer them on. Anyway, back to pricing. The box keeps necessities very modestly priced, and the antiques, treasures, collectibles priced to be both attractive and profitable, because from that come the grants, the scholarships, the things to capture the hearts and minds of children. So it's never a perfect balance, but anyway. So I never aspired to be the perfect leader, which was a good thing. Perfect is always a hard thing to accomplish. But I did want to be a successful one, aspiring to motivate by inclusion and openness to the ideas of others. Collaboration and delegation seemed to me to be the zenith of humility and good management. The acknowledgement, I don't know it all, I can't see it all, I can't do it all. And that left a lot of things that were not carved in stone. The what about this, or what if, became very driving factors. To me, the bargain box is an always evolving organic entity. It does not lend itself to tasks and spreadsheets nearly as much as it does to what if, to think outside the box, to get creative about the driving force of the box, which would be donations, and the biggest bane of the box, which would be donations. So what if was sort of a daily thing. The lifeblood of the box is those donations, but they threat the good humor and the best use of finite space at both stores. And so what about this? Leads to constant innovation, to improvements in sorting, pricing, free binning, and much more cheerful hearts. That said, it's not a great place for people who have to have everything carved in stone at all times. It just isn't that kind of business. Thank goodness. Anyway, praise be. In conclusion, the first 2 lines of one of William Cowper's most well-known poems goes, God moves in a mysterious way, his wonders to perform. Ye fearful saint, fresh courage take. The clouds you so much dread are big with mercy and shall break, and blessings on your head. That word blessings goes with bargain box a whole lot. The bargain box was a blessing to me for 9 years, a source of deepest gratitude. I used to wonder what the pundits and authors' term lean in meant. And then I realized the bargain box taught me, lean in. Quit looking in the mirror. Look out the window. That's all the really good stuff is. In the spirit of leaving laughing, the corniest, oldest joke I've heard this year, a lawyer to a lady discussing divorce. What are your grounds? An acre or so. Do you have a grudge? Carport. Does he beat you up? Oh no, sir. I get up 2 hours earlier every day. That's my effort to want to grow feeling out. Anyway, thank you for the experience. Oh, question, sorry.
Lived here for a long time. I would take clothes to the bargain box. And my mother-in-law worked at the bargain box, and she would pick the clothes up and bring them to me and say, "These look like you."
I love it.
But one of the things, Allie, that I want to note about you is when a piece of art was brought in, you researched it. You found the person it belonged to. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You did that on more than one occasion at the bargain box.
That was one of the greatest joys of
It
being
was, and you had a gift to do that. And thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Oh, and another thing that was kind of fun, once you're in that whole thrifty business, you are in. And so Mary Ann and several of us were in Sun Valley. And so we went thrift shopping just to shop and compare in the little bit of time we had there. And it was fun. And I know it started with Mary Ann. But, yeah.
It told me you were very serious about your business.
Wasn't I knew nothing about it yet, but it was very fun.
So how about any other questions or thoughts, Ann?
Well, Allie, you changed it all. You made it a professional operation, and yet you were always fun, willing to negotiate, sales, fun. It was a great place. You were the perfect choice, and you are going to be missed. We thank you for all those wonderful years.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was so much my pleasure. It really was a swan song that could not be. Thank you for knowing that before anyone else did.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Lolly.
I think you were in a position to perhaps best in a general way share with us the demographics of this community. Do we have a lot of working poor in Cody? Do you have that sort of a sense, or?
I do, but at the same time, since COVID, since last March and April, there have been a lot of funds, and sometimes the needs are not as great as we would think. So it's very actually hard for me to know. Brian Andrews, I think, has a much better pulse on that day in and day out. I know it's here, and we had lots of regular shoppers who were just a lot of fun to have it. You could tell they live very much near an edge. And I have actually been waiting this whole year to watch more shoes drop. There is so much grace in this community. And just the money from Christ Episcopal and the Presbyterian Church and the others, there's some good funds and safety nets that I think we're very lucky to have, but also make me not quite as litter as I should be on that.
Thanks, Lolly.
To answer to Wally's question about the demographics, you're the spearhead. The Vision Committee sees the other side by the grants of the money that we give to the different nonprofit organizations. And so then the demographics change for me, I got just it just telegraphed across me, my mind, is that the demographics we see are from all the way from Foal and the environment, but truly working with the people and projects down at Judy's, and the people who are just one day at a time getting by, working through the emergency assistance funds, and always being open with the resources of the bargain box to be able to move that resource to those who truly, it makes a difference. And it's only for the absolute grace and the beauty of this community is all the nonprofit groups that truly have a niche. Seems like they cross over a lot, and they're always, one striving to get the money over the other one, and there's only so many resources. But what I found through the bargain box is it's there. They're really doing a great job at the thing, and I'm just so pleased that this particular mission and outreach exists, and that so many people across many interests and across the community participate in it, and a lot more than we have any idea.
Thank you, Jerry. Connie.
What is the most interesting item the Bargain Box received?
Oh, man. That's a tough
Like the
one.
Hope Diamond or
No Hope Diamonds, but probably the most interesting when Sam Allen was cleaning out his house the first time for renters on Sunset Boulevard North at House he grew up in. He asked me to come look at stuff and then have Mike Neville pick up everything we wanted. And on top of a heap that he was planning to take to the landfill was this gorgeous trunk. Gorgeous. I mean, old steamer trunk. You could feel the history seeping out of it. And I said, "Do we have that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And it wasn't a Hermes, but it was something very special. And it had a big L on it. And it was a linen trunk, it appeared to be. And so I said, "Sam, who's the L?" And he said, "Maybe my mother's mother or something like that." And so got it in the store, cleaned it up a little bit, and there was a shipping label from New York, Larry Laram Valley. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's what you did.
And so, I mean, it had to go back to Valley. I was just determined. And I said, "Chris, that's the very first place I pulled into in Cody was the trading post at Valley." And here comes Bob Monroe. "Oh, who are you?" And the trading post was just so special. And coming from Florida and having no idea if something could be 45 miles out of town and still be in town. That truck just had it. But I probably called the Collier Group 50 times before they finally came over and looked at it and did buy it. And it is up in the redone trading post. But I would say that was probably a neat question, because there have been a lot. Yeah.
That's great. What else? This is our chance to ask Allie everything we always wanted to know about the Bargain Box.
Or you can call me. And I just have to tell you for sure, it is going to get even better. It has transitioned into wonderful, capable hands, and nobody takes a place. Everybody makes their own. But she is a gentlewoman with a firm spirit. The generations of students and parents that come in, "Mrs. Melbrayton, Mrs. Melbrayton," it is a love fest. And a bilingual will help. You know, I tried a little bit, but never got much past goal. I have this wonderful tape that I kept playing back and forth the land of its conversational Spanish. Well, I don't know who they were going to converse with, but "These are the colors of my life" was not really useful. No. Yeah, so she's going to be wonderful. Keep shopping, keep donating.
So Jill Caro online says, "Thank you, Allie, for all your years leading and growing the Bargain Box. Thank you for being who you are, and I wish you an amazing retirement."
Oh, how sweet. And she has the dearest grandson.
Yes.
We're enjoying him at the box. He is very verbal about being ACDC and OCD.
OCD.
He's an alphabet. In other words, he gets things really
ADD
really
and
fast.
OCD, yep.
He's very open about it. It's a perfect job for him. We are so lucky.
Yes.
He's adorable. Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for you to open your mini restaurant. As soon as COVID is over, I want to be part of that dream of yours that you read to us about from 2009. That when you have a chance, you will just be cooking up a storm, and it sounds like you're already doing some of that.
My grandson came over Sunday. We spent 5 hours making pasta. We thought we were so clever. I figure between now and next Christmas, I can hang hundreds of slabs of pasta on that big pot rack.
Yeah.
For anybody who's ever in Kitty and Carrie Gash's house in the kitchen, the pot rack is just, yeah. So, get your boiling pots out. We know what I'm doing for Christmas.
That's right.
Everyone.
That's right.
I think there's another side to all this, that I'd come home and I'd say, what is this? I talked to Allie, and then this object would be a reverse tobacco grinder from Cuba or something, and it meant nothing to me, but Ann said it means a lot to Allie, and she called. And the other thing that's been so pleasant, Ann used to go through the Catholic Church dumpster to find gallon jars, because they're big on wines, cheap wines there where they were. And those jugs were now $1.
That's at the seniors.
At the scene, but anyway, there've been so remarkable things that have come to our home. And Allie, you go back and I go back a long way, even for our birthdays.
An instant contest.
Gorgeous woman you are indeed.
Oh, thank you, Al.
Terrific.
Thank
And
you.
all the people said,
Amen. Thank you so much, Al.